I made a 3D printed RC car that is only slightly bigger than the palm of my hand. It's 20 centimeters in length, yet its current speed record is around 25 miles an hour. In this video, I will refine the car's design to see its full potential. At the end of my previous video, where I designed and built the first iteration of this thing, the car got run over. Sadly, this wasn't caught on camera, but you can at least see the aftermath of what happened here. The car got pretty lucky, only having the steering column, rear wheel, and wing broken. The first thing I want to address for this car's redesign is going to be the steering column. In the first design, the amount of camber decreased when turning the wheels due to their axis of rotation being angled inwards. This is an inherently poor design that I was unaware of at the time. I hopped back into Onshape to critique the steering column so that the rotational axis was angled outwards instead, causing the amount of camber to increase as the wheels turned. I beefed up and redesigned a few other aspects of this piece, brought it into a slicer, and then printed it out. Last video, I used paper clips as steering rods. Not exactly sure what I was thinking then, but surprisingly, there was never an issue with them. I'll be replacing those with genuine control rods because another one of my goals for this second version is to tighten up the steering. There was too much play in the overall system, causing it to get very squirrely at higher RPMs. Now that all that stuff is out of the way, it's time to start putting it together. First up though, I had to print these new wheels for the car in a nice deep red color. I made a few tolerance changes to tighten everything up there as well. The steering was better, the tires didn't come flying off once, and the parking lot that I was testing it in was nice and smooth. The car then had a problem that it had experienced in its first version. In this clip, you can see how the car refused to accelerate for some reason. This was because the torque from the motor had broken the CA glue holding it onto the motor gear. This motor shaft is so tiny that I don't really know how I could possibly put a key on it. You can see it compared to my finger, like that is super tiny. So I'm just gonna cross my fingers and put a lot more glue on this time. And if that doesn't do it, I have to do some serious thinking about how to figure that out. All right, there we go. All glued back on. Gonna let this dry for a pretty long time and we'll see what happens. And with that, it was time to take the car onto an actual road to see what it could really do. "24 miles per hour was the best speed that this car hit. This was pretty similar to the top speed of the first version of the car, but this makes sense as I didn't change anything involving the motor or the gear ratio. The biggest difference here, however, was how much more controllable the car was. It was no longer squirrely or unpredictable when trying to control it from the bed of a truck moving at 25 miles per hour, which was tricky enough as it was to begin with. Eventually though, I accidentally ran it into a sidewalk which directly hit the right front tire. The axle ripped right off as expected because this is definitely not the strongest part I made on the car. But there really isn't any better way of getting around that issue. I put a lot of time into designing, testing, and revising this project, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. This definitely has to be one of my favorite things that I've made, and to anyone who wants to print this car for themselves, the files will be open to the public on Thingiverse. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing to see what I make next. Thanks for watching.